And welcome everyone to my biography of Adrastus Vitus, my background for my character, my senior apothecary. Let's talk about some things he believes in first, and then we shall get into the role-playing aspect of his background. His childhood background, when he was a child, when he was 10 and below, does not matter. It is useless to him because he is now a space marine. That is his duty as a ultramarine and as an apothecary. He finds very rarely to see an ultramarine believe the Codex Astratus is less important than something. Ultramarines usually make the Codex Astratus the highest point ever. That is their thing. But my character has a slight belief, because he's an apothecary, that if the Codex Astratus tells him to stay still while an ally is endangered or injured or close to death, then he will not listen to the Codex Astratus. He will go to his ally's side. That is his duty as an apothecary, to make sure that he gets that ally healed, to make sure that ally doesn't die, and if that ally is close to death, to ensure that he finishes the blow and takes something called the gene seed out of him, which is the most important thing you have to get in any battle, is that gene seed. That gene seed holds everything that makes a space marine what he is. I have to ensure that I get that gene seed at all costs. That is the main duty. But my character rather see his friend healed, his ally healed all the way, instead of just grabbing that gene seed. No matter who it is, no matter if it's someone he even hates for some reason, he will make sure he heals him first. That is his duty as an apothecary, and that will always come first, no matter what. I think I explained that pretty decently. The Codex Astratus is basically a Art of War book. You know, the book Art of War. It's basically that, just a little bit bigger, and it is for the Space Marines. Every Space Marine chapter should follow it, but a lot of them do not. A lot of them have their own rules and everything. He is an Ultramarine. He is from a chapter which is the biggest chapter they have, and his chapter believes in following the Codex Astratus to the book. Even though at times it might contradict itself and stuff, it is following it to the book. You have to follow it no matter what. That is the rules. Except for my character, which, because he's an apothecary, he believes that if it came to get in his way of the duty as an apothecary, then his duties as an apothecary come first. Everything else, if any other situation happens, he will follow that codex straight to the point. But if one thing happens that his apothecary duties come into contact against his codex, he will go with the apothecary every time. Now we shall get into the role-playing aspect of his background, I guess. I was trained by my master, my teacher, to always respect the apothecary ways, but always respect the codex at the same time. He taught that the duties of an apothecary is important, and it always shall be important, but the codex as well shall be just as important. He taught that if anything were to happen in a certain battle, to follow the codex, but to also follow my duties as an apothecary. I always took this as that my duties as an apothecary are very important towards the well-being of my chapter and towards the well-being of all Space Marines. It's also the well-being of who I am, what makes me a Space Marine and an apothecary. If I do not follow my duties as an apothecary for any reason, I am failing my job as a person from the chapter of the Ultramarines, as a Space Marine, and as an apothecary. And I cannot allow that to happen. That is the law I have been given to myself, and that is the law I shall follow. And as you know, you already explained the ifs and uffs and all that. So we shall be heading towards his background, his past histories. The first campaign I ever went to, it was destructive. We came to a planet, and we were told to defend at all costs, to push back the war boss and the orcs, to push back this giant warg, and to eventually push back to their planet where hopefully it will stay, or we will destroy them. We held off very well. We were strong fighters. We held off with bravery. Of course, we lost casualties, as in any war, but we did very well in keeping those casualties low, in keeping their casualties high. Eventually, we came up towards the planet and we landed. It was a hard duty to land upon that planet and immediately get caught in crossfires, to have fire going in and out immediately. We survived, though. We only lost 23 men, which is high, but it is the duty of a Space Marine, and is a great honor. Eventually, we came upon a front. We had made trenches and many lines to hold off against the orcs and their assaults. When the battle began, we held them off very well, and we held them off strong and brave. We would not falter. Our fire was immenseful. All bullets came from all angles, and the orcs did not stand a chance. Somehow, some orcs got across, and they were planning on destroying our main depot, where we have all our ammunition, where we have our armor, our special weapons, where we have ships. They were aiming there. They were aiming for something important to us. So, our commanding officer ordered me and a select few of 10 men to go and deal with that problem. That was easy. That was no problem to us. But that's not why I remember this battle so well. When we turned around, we saw that our commanding officer was under great fire, that the orcs had used a charge, and they were actually winning the front. They were using close range to a degree that we decided to go help our commander. We charged, hitting straight along to them. The orcs had pushed through, and they had orcs all over the battlefield now. The lines had faltered. So, we fought bravely. We had to cross about, I'd say, 15 to maybe 17 orcs. I don't remember quite as many orcs we killed to get there. But a group of these orcs, 4 of them, charged me directly. My other brothers were busy killing other orcs to get the front clear. These 4 orcs charged, and I was able to shoot 3 of them with the bolt pistol that was in my left hand. And my right was a chainsword, but it only came of use before this event. I shot those 3 orcs, and they died, but one of them kind of was behind their brothers, and at the time, I did not really see him. When I killed his 3 brothers, I finally did see him, and he was already too close for me to try to get another shot off. He aimed directly for my head, and he tried to basically cut me in half. And I was not fast enough. I was not strong enough to move out of the way. I was able to move my head and most of my body out of the way, but when his blade came down, it left a scar upon my face my right side. But because of my inadequacy, I guess, he was able to hit my right arm. He left such a big gash that the pain was immenseful, but I did not scream. I did not stop. I could not feel most of my arm, and I saw myself dropping my blade when it happened. Instinctually, though, I pulled my left hand towards his face, and the bolter was pointed directly towards his left cranium. And I started pulling, shooting as many shots as I could, again and again, until my clip was empty. By that time he was dead, but you never know with orcs. The skulls are so strong, and their skin. You can never tell when an orc is truly dead. I wasted my whole ammunition on him, and then I turned and saw the commander was in danger. Me and the fellow brothers I was with decided to charge in there, but by the time we got there, we already lost 4 men. We did not fail in our duty. The commander was fine, as any commander should be. He has great experience, and he fought bravely. And we eventually pushed back the orcs and took back our flank. Maybe we sent too many men towards those orcs over there. Maybe we... I don't know, but we did our duty, and we followed our orders. And that is all that matters. Not what my opinion is, but that we succeeded, and that we followed orders to the utmost degree. We did not succumb to the weakness that most humans do, due to us being Space Marines and to our bravery and our strength. We pushed back the orcs. We fought the war boss directly, and he died. The rest of it was victory and honor towards us. I remember after that battle I talked about having to go into a camp to get healed, and how they were not even sure if that arm was going to survive, how they might have to amputate it due to how weak it was. But they tried their best, and it did heal. All that I have now is a scar of my battles and my bravery towards the Great Orc invasions. A scar that anytime I look right and see, I know of my duty, and I remember it well. That war lasted 20 years of my life, and it was a great battle, a great war to be in, and I would never have any war, never have changed one event, except maybe my brothers dying, except seeing them die in front of me. That is the only event I would have changed. But even then, it is an honor to die as a Space Marine, and it is an honor for them to die, and for me to take their gene seeds, so that they may live on as other Space Marines. Another campaign I went on, it was a few years later, maybe 10. A great demon invasion occurred on the world of Thrax. It was not the strongest demon invasion we ever had, but it was a strong invasion nonetheless. We killed many demons, and I single-handedly remember being the end of these demonic beings. I remember after slaughtering one of them, a lower one, a blood... what are they called? Bloodletters, I believe. I do not remember, but it should not care. They are demons, and all demons shall die. After killing one of these weaker demons, I looked to the right, and I saw a much larger, stronger demon. He was fighting he came upon two of my friends. Two allies, not friends. Blah. Forget I said that! Two of my allies. And he killed one of them without them even seeing. He literally cut him in half. The gore was everywhere, but that is war. My other battle brother turned around and saw what occurred, but he did not falter. He did not weaken. He saw this demon, and he looked into its eyes, and he screamed with a battle cry like no other I have heard, and he charged towards it. I saw this, and I felt this immense power within me, and I charged towards that demon. If I could just keep that brother alive for one more battle, for one more campaign, if I could keep him alive, I would have done my duty as an apothecary. I would have charged regardless if my feelings had changed. I would have charged even if I did not feel that immense power within me, but I did. And that power felt great. I remember the bloodletter trying to strike my brother, but I charged and jumped on him, stabbing repeatedly, over and over and over, into his flesh. Eventually he pushed me away. I was launched far, but I stood up and charged again. Instead of attacking my brother, he decided to look at me. I was his new target. But my brother did not run. He did not take this chance to escape. He decided to stay along my side and fight this beast. I remember fighting night and day, dodging score after score, cutting him again and again, but he did not falter. He was a strong beast. Strong, demonic beast. We fought through the night, always dodging. Eventually we saw fire come through on my left. It hit the demon again and again. The demon screamed in anger, and I looked and I saw my brothers had arrived. Reinforcements who had cleared their demon sides, and it came to save ours. I'll get to that later. He was a strong person. But he did fall, like any demon would, to our might. The might of humanity, and to the might of the Space Marines. To the might of the Ultramarine chapter. He fell, like any weakling would, and he died. I believe that he did not have a chance to go anywhere else, except to his warp, to his land of alternate world demonic energies. He went there, retreated like a coward against our might, against our power, against our bravery as Space Marines. Eventually pushed all of them back from that planet, but we did not push them all. It was a plan, something that Mace thought up. When we thought we pushed them all, they came again in larger front forces from behind us in that same battle that we pushed them, and we did not know, we did not see it coming. We were ordered to retreat, to fall back. I failed that day as an apothecary. We retreated as we were ordered. And while retreating, one of my brothers was shot. And he was too far for me to get to him then, but he was strong enough to arrive back onto the ship. When we left, he had already suffered too many wounds. And he was bleeding too far out. When I saw this, I knew that I could not do anything for him. I could not heal him. I could not keep him alive to fight another battle. I looked at him, and I took off my helmet, and I took off his, and we saw each other. We saw our eyes meet, and I saw the bravery he still had in him, the amount of power he could still give, the amount of strength he still had, but that strength would not be used to keep him alive. If I could have done anything, I would have kept him alive, and he would have healed, and he would have been fine. But there was nothing. I told him that he would soon be with the Emperor alongside him, and that we will always remember him for his bravery. His name was Battle Brother Uziel, and he was by far one of the bravest battle brothers I knew. When I told him that he'd be by the Emperor's side, he looked at me, and he gave me a nod, as if he knew this would happen. And I knew instinctively that that is the time I should take his gene seed. I shot him in the head. It's not something we're trained not to feel remorse towards that, and I surely did not feel remorse. It was his time. But it was the first time I could not save a battle brother in battle. It was the first time that I did not already see him die, and so thus all I had to do was take his gene seed. It was the first time that I saw a battle brother die directly in front of me, one that I grew to have great respect for. They train you to not care, or at least to show great respect towards him, but to do your duties to the utmost extreme. And they tell you how hard sometimes it will be, but it doesn't prepare you for things like this. Our commander later decided to use Exterminatus on Thrax, and the world was completely destroyed. Uziel was a brave warrior, and I will remember him. I will take what he taught me in battle, to be so brave and so strong, to never retreat unless ordered, unless the Codex says, to look death in its eye and scream for the Emperor. That I will never remember. Alright, that seems like that's it. I think that's it for my biography. I didn't do the best job. I could have done better, but I did pretty well to me. Yeah, that's it today. That is my character's biography. That is Adrastus Vitus's biography. His background. His back knowledge of what has happened. I hope that explains well enough. I hope that explains the thing. Uziel was the same brother that fought the demon alongside him. That, if I did not explain that, I think I didn't explain that well enough. So there you go, if you did not get that. Next, we shall be doing Whoever's Ready. I'm not quite sure whose biography is next, but we shall find out when it happens. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.